A lot has happened since the last time I talked about the Eagles. Um, a lot of things that I'm mad about. Um, so I'm gonna really quickly talk about the week 16 to 18. Um, I Going into week 16, I had thought Saquon's still gonna be at a good pace to break the rushing record, right? Eric Dickerson's record. Um, So you play the Commanders. Started off doing well until Jalen Hurts got hurt. And then I had to watch Kenny Pickett come in. I have been very clear from the beginning. I believe Tanner McKee should have been the backup quarterback. I've been saying it and I'm saying it now. I've been saying it since we traded for Kenny Pickett. Stupid. Tanner McKee is so good. Um, I think he deserves to have a shot at a starting job somewhere. Not here, because that's Jalen Hurts' job. Um, I think somehow the this game was a lot closer. I mean, the Commanders ended up winning 36-33 on a last second touchdown, basically. A lot of under there was under a minute to go, and Jaden Daniels says a touchdown to Jameson Crowder. And they got a 2 point conversion. So 36-33, and Hertz was out for um basically the whole game. Um after I mean on the opening drive, the Commanders turned the ball over on downs at the 49-yard line. Then the second drive, Saquon goes runs in a 1 yard touchdown. Saquon had a long it was a long play. Saquon got a 1 yard touchdown. Then Jalen Carter forced a fumble. Like it was a great start. And then immediately after we got a turnover, Jalen Hurts goes scrambles, slides, gets hit in the helmet, concussion. He has not played since. As of this moment, he's not been cleared going into the Packers playoff game. Now, the good news is Ian Book got cut. Why does that matter? Because now the Eagles only have two quarterbacks on the roster and three if Jalen Hurts gets activated. Obviously, it seems like Hurts is going to play if they're going to cut that third quarterback. You get what I'm saying? Um, I mean, Sirianni was asked on his comments on how he feels if McKee or Pickett have to come in. He feels confident in them if they have to. But yeah, anyways, yeah, Eagles had a strong start, but Kenny Pickett had to come in. Kenny Pickett, he had a good couple throws here and there. I still don't think he played all that well. I think the rest of the team played really well. Saquon had a 68-yard touchdown. Um, Second quarter, Brian Robinson had two fumbles. Um, Hayden Daniels came in, threw a 32-yard touchdown. Then he threw an interception to CJ Gardner-Johnson. Eagles led 21-14 at halftime. Jake Elliott, by the way, had a 56-yard field goal short. Jake's been off. I mean, at the beginning of the year, people were like, I don't know if Jake Elliott's gonna be like this, maybe we have to consider another kicker. And I said, if he's like this towards the end of the year, then you have to consider it. And man, he's made field goals, but he's also missed some. So I'm very skeptical on Jake Elliott. We should not be putting our hands in the playoffs on Jake Elliott. So, um, just don't put yourself in that situation. Otherwise, we'll be looking for a new kicker and be out of the playoffs. So, yeah, a lot of turnovers in this game. Uh, then suddenly, I still have not gotten clear any sort of anything on why CJ Gardner Johnson was ejected. I saw the first personal foul. I didn't really understand it, but CJ Gardner Johnson was involved in a fight. So I saw the video. He got shoved in the face. I didn't really see any retaliation of CJ Gardner Johnson, but he was involved. So I think they're going to just call it. I think they're just going to call it either way. Um, but the second personal foul, which got him ejected, I didn't. To this day, I have not seen it. Because they announced it, there was no replay, no anything. And then CJ Gardner Johnson flips off Commanders fans as he walks out. That was huge. I mean, you lose your quarterback and you lose a safety. So I'm like, all right, this is whack. Jane, then the Commanders comeback starts happening. Jane Daniels 4 yard touchdown, 49 yard touchdown. Jake Elliott kicked a 50-yard field goal. Jane Daniels threw another interception, this one to Reed Blankenship. Uh, Jake Elliott kicked a 40-yard field goal, then Jane Daniels threw the game-winning touchdown. 36-33 Commanders. Yeah, I mean, if Jalen Hurts is in the game, do we win? More than likely, yeah. I mean, based off how the game was already going, I don't think it would have been that much closer. I think it would have been probably a two-score game. So I'm not too worried. Commanders fans were very um, vocal after that win. I don't know why. You just played a backup quarterback. It's just like how I viewed the Cowboys game. We played Cooper Rush. Um, it happens. Um, Speaking of the Cowboys, we're playing Cooper Rush, and just the Eagles did exactly what you expected the Eagles to do. Now, in this game, Kenny Pickett started, and then Kenny Pickett got hurt. So guess who we saw? Touchdown Tanner McKee. Um, that's his new nickname. I'll explain why. So, first Cooper Rush throws an interception to Chauncey Gardner Johnson, who returns it 69 yards for a touchdown, his first touchdown of his career. Cooper Rush threw a 4 yard touchdown to Jalen Tolbert, and you're thinking, oh wow, this game's pretty close. Um, Kenny Pickett threw a 22-yard touchdown to Devontae Smith. It's pretty clear that when Kenny Pickett's on the field, he likes Devontae the most. Um, uh, Eagles linebacker Oren Burks, since Nakobe Dean was hurt, Oren Burks came in. Oren Burks forced a fumble on Jake Ferguson, and Jordan Davis recovered at the Cowboys' 39-yard line. Elliott kicked a 31-yard field goal. Cooper Rush threw an interception to Chauncey Gardner Johnson again, who gave the Eagles the ball at their own 35-yard line. Chauncey has been playing exactly how he played when he first joined the Eagles. The beginning of this year, he was one of the worst defensive players I've ever seen. Now he's got to get his mind right because we can't see him getting ejected in the middle of a playoff game. So you need to handle your emotions, man. That's all I ask of you. Play like how you're doing right now. Because at the beginning of the year, you were terrible. I put you in the same conversation as Namni Osmo and Byron Maxwell, and you finally did it. But now you get ejected in the last game. So you just, man, just keep your mind on, keep your head on your shoulders. Um, Kenny Pickett ran the brotherly shove for a 1 yard touchdown. Jordan Mailata, I saw, was talking smack right before this, saying it's coming. I find it funny that Kenny Pickett ran it. Kenny Pickett kind of struggled with it. It took him a couple tries, but he got it. Third quarter, Kenny Pickett. Now going into the game, Kenny Pickett had a rib injury. Um, at this moment, Pickett's injury got re-aggravated. So he had a rib injury right before a field goal attempt. And Jake Elliott made the field goal as a 26-yarder. And Tanner McKee came in. Tanner McKee only played one play that drive, and it was a handoff. Um, then Tanner McKee comes in. And I'm like, yes, now we can finally show the world why Tanner McKee is really good at football, and he's really good at football. Tanner McKee was my fifth best quarterback of the draft in 2023. I really liked him. I think the only thing I went back and the only issue I had was he didn't play enough, and he didn't play against top teams. So you're playing at Stanford, you're not playing against really good teams. Um, and as if he were doing what he did, but against good teams, he would have probably been a first round pick, and he would have probably been one of the top picks in the draft. Um, so Tanner McKee comes in and immediately throws a 20-yard touchdown to AJ Brown. Fourth quarter, Nolan Smith forced a fumble on Rico Dowdle. Cooper DeJean recovered at the Eagles' 10-yard line. Then Tanner McKee throws a 25-yard touchdown to Devontae Smith. Um, this is how the game was going for the Cowboys when you know Brandon Aubrey, his 61-yard field goal hits off the right upright and was no good. With 2:24 left, Cowboys cornerback Troy Pride, Cowboys wide receiver Jalen Brooks, and Eagles safety Sidney Brown were ejected after a fight. Sidney Brown wanted. Well, this is one of those games that Sirianni lost the team, and I don't like. The last couple weeks, it's been an issue. Players get into fights. I like intensity, but don't get yourself ejected. Um, After the fight, Cooper Rush was benched for Trey Lance. Eagles won 41-7. Yeah, Tanner McKee was incredible. With that win, the Eagles won the NFC East. They clinched the number 2 seed. Um, yeah, so week 18, uh, going into week 18, Saquon. So in week 17, Saquon eclipsed 2,000 yards. He's the ninth running back to do so, and he was 100 yards before week 18. He was 100 yards away from Eric Dickerson, and I'm thinking, and there was a debate all week. Do you start the players? Do you not? Do you try and get him the record? Do you not? And Saquon immediately after the game in week 17 was like I was here to win Super Bowl, came in to win Super Bowls, stuff like that. The whole humble Saquon routine, we know. You stop being that. Um, and that the way everybody was perceiving it was like, hey, if we want to do this, we'll do it. And Saquon slept on it. And then he was like, he talked to his family, and he's like, I could put my name in the history books forever. His dad was the most upset about this. Um, he said his family was more upset than he was, which obviously he's as humble as he is. Um, I thought of it very differently. I think they should have played not for the record at all. I mean, you bring in the record, yeah, but I think they should have played one half of football because you don't want to be rusty going into the playoffs. And the argument that you could be hurt, yes, you could also be hurt during practice during the week. So, I mean, it goes hand in hand. If you sit them, you're still going to practice during the week and you still could get hurt. Look at Ryan Tannehill. Oh, with the Dolphins. I mean, when Tannehill ended up getting hurt and then the Dolphins made the playoffs and had to start Matt Moore, and Matt Moore got destroyed, decapitated by I forget who the Steeler was at the time. It wasn't Bud Dupree, maybe it was Bud Dupree. Um, and yeah, um, I thought you don't want these guys to be too rusty, but based off how things ended last year with AJ Brown getting hurt and not able to play against the Bucks, it kind of I don't think Sirianni's ever going to play starters if we have a playoff spot clinched for by week 18. So, I wasn't a huge fan of the decision. I wanted to go for the record. Very disappointing. But you still get 2,005 yards. Still one of the best seasons by a running back ever. He finished 13th all time in scrimmage yards, I believe, 13 or 14th all time in scrimmage yards in a season. Um, yeah, it was an incredible year. Um, Outside of that, Tanner McKee played well. Going into the Giants game, I mean, there's not much to play for. There's not really any starters. Jordan Davis really the only starter on defense that played. Offense, not really any starters playing. Tanner McKee came in, immediately throws a 15-yard touchdown to Aeneas Smith. Um, Jake Elliott missed 39-yard field goal. This is again with the Jake Elliott field goals. Giants just kept turning the ball over, but Jake Elliott made a 24-yard field goal, 10-0 lead at halftime. Turnover on downs by the Eagles. Graham Gano kicked a 25-yard field goal. Tanner McKee threw a 7-yard touchdown to EJ Jenkins. Uh, Giants quarterback Drew Lock threw a 45-yard touchdown on Malik Neighbors. An incredible play. He was in midair and swapped the ball and reached it over the pylon. Incredible play by Malik Neighbors, who Malik Neighbors broke the record for most catches in a season by a rookie, and he held that for like 2 hours. Brock Bowers had the record. Malik Neighbors broke that. Then Brock took it back and finished with the lead. Jake Elliott kicked a 32-yard field goal. Or Gano kicked the 53-yarder, Jake Elliott 32-yarder, Drew Lock threw an interception to Sidney Brown, and that ultimately ended the game. Eagles won 20-13. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Uh, Tanner McKee played great the last couple weeks. Um, I hang on one second. Yeah, Tanner McKee played great. I mean, if you're asking me who I think the backup quarterback should be for the Eagles, it's 100% Tanner McKee. I'm not even debating that. I mean, look at what Tanner McKee has done. He's shown that he looks good in the offense, right? And what else do you want him to do? Kenny Pickett, he just doesn't look good in the offense. The playmakers around him have to make him better, and I don't like that. Um, so yeah. Um, going into the playoffs, you're playing Green Bay, who you face week one. I believe they're wearing black. I don't know if they're wearing the same ensemble they wore week one against Green Bay. I assume not. We're not gonna wear white jerseys at home. Um, maybe all black again, like we did against the Giants. I don't know. Um, two very different teams. The defense at the beginning of the year, like I told everyone before the year started, Vic Fangio's defense is going to take time to adjust. And yeah, the defense has adjusted. It adjusted a lot quicker than I thought it would have. It was like right after the bye that it started clicking. Um, I mean, you've seen it in any Vic Fangio defense, the defense is always going to take time to adjust to. And so you have a completely different defense. No Avonte Maddox, no Keely Ringo in the starting lineup. You've been replaced that with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, two of the top cornerbacks in the two of the top rookie defensive players in the entire league this year. Um, you have finally some experience for Zach Bond. Nakobe Dean has stepped up. Your edge rushers are finally playing but better since week one. So your defense is a completely different monster than week one. Offensively, not really much of a difference. I mean, the offense played has been playing well, more efficient. I will say that the offense has been more efficient since the beginning of the year. So that's the case. Green Bay, they're going into this game without Jair Alexander. They're one of the best cornerbacks in their history. Um, they're one of the best players on their entire team, probably the best player on their entire team. Christian Watson, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that makes a huge difference. Christian Watson was always a boom or bust, a huge boom or huge bust. I think eliminating him, Green Bay kind of solidifies what they want to do with the offense. So I don't think that hurts them. Um, I think Green Bay has had a rough end to the year, losing to Chicago like that. So Yeah, I didn't want to play Green Bay going in the playoffs. There was three teams I didn't want to play. That was Green Bay was one of them. So, um, yeah, play against Green Bay. Jordan Love had an injury in the last game, so he's going to be shaken up. Jalen Hurts is coming back from a concussion. He's going to be shaken up. So it'll come down to the playmakers. And guess what? The Eagles do a really good job with playmakers. So, unlike the Tampa Bay game last year, I had my doubts playing Tampa last year, and now you play Green Bay, who's struggling. So I'm a little bit more optimistic about this matchup. So that being said, hopefully next time I talk about the Eagles, it's in a positive light. So with that being said, go Eagles.